Hello friends and strangers, today I'm going to talk a bit about a standalone audio application I made in Unreal Engine, specifically mostly based on Unreal Engine Metasounds. As you can already see, it's a multi-effect. It has some basic effects here on this first page and the main crossover settings, since it is a multiband multi-effect, at least most modules are multiband. And you can also see, if you switch to the glitch tools, you have 7 different kinds of glitch modules here. So these basic effects are very simple: wave shaper, compressor, multi-filter. It's a little bit more interesting. I'm gonna talk about it a little bit more later. A very basic flanger, delay, and a reverb. The reverb is also a little bit more interesting since I did it myself based on serial delays. With some additional effects in the delay chains. And the glitch tools are a bit more creative. A Raptolizer, which is based on some kind of repeater with randomization. Dublizer based on delays. Oscillizer mostly based on frequency modulation, also with some LFOs. And a Discordizer is basically a bit crusher with some additional tricks. The wave shaper, also filter with LFO, and a noise oscillator with envelope follower. Triplizer is similar to the Dublizer, just with additional delays. Cranializer, this is a single band effect, or the Raptolizer is also single band, I should say that, but you can also see it here on the left with band settings. If you see the band settings, the module is multiband. If you don't see them, it's a single band effect. And Raptolizer, Cranializer, single band. Cranializer is based on crane delays. It can get pretty crazy with some pitching aspects and feedback. Psycholizer is mixing different delays, pitch settings, and additional stuff. As you can see, you have lots of different time settings using different types of LFOs and delays for this. Also some panning with LFO that can switch panning to left and right. And yeah, that's it for the main very quick overview. Just to show you the signal path or signal flow, everything starts with the Raptolizer, the repeater here, single band. Then it goes through the various multiband glitch effects, Dublizer, Oscillizer, Discordizer, Triplizer, then into the single band Cranializer, then another frequency split, and the wave shaper comes into play, another split, and the rest of the basic simple effects, compressor, multifilter, flanger, delay, reverb, and then another single band glitch effect, the Psycholizer, and finally a final compressor and final limiter, because as you can probably imagine, based on all these glitch modules, the sounds can get pretty crazy, and you should really use the compressor and limiter settings here if you make more creative stuff with it. That's it for the signal flow. As you can see, it's all set in stone. You can't change the module order or anything. The signal flow always stays the same. Always goes through the glitch effects first, then the basic effects, and last but not least, Psycholizer and the fine compressor and limiter. So the workflow, if you use this in your audio work, is basically you load in an audio track, and let's load a drum bass track I'm working on, and you can hear it playing. Then you can switch on record audio, and it's gonna record whatever you're doing here. So this is the standalone audio effect. You can't use it in an audio workstation, so of course you have to record what you do and then put your recording into your workstation and then work with the recording. The goal for it is to switch up sounds, to glitch up sounds, process sounds in a creative way, especially if you work on stuff like glitch heavy music, drum bass, dubstep, IDM, braindance, whatever. I think you can put this to good use. Also in the context of game development, I've already used it a little bit for switching up sound effects. You can have some interesting results loading in just short effects or longer takes of multiple effects and then glitching stuff up. Everything that you load in here is automatically looped, so you can just hit record and record multiple takes of you changing all the effect settings here. And yeah, about the other main controls, here you switch to glitch tools, here you load audio, record audio, restart the audio, just hit it and it starts from the beginning again. Here you have some extra settings and a final compressor, final limiter. I'm gonna talk about the visual stuff here at the end of this video, and here you can just stop the audio if you want to make a pause, and you can start it again, or you can also click on restart. And here you can reset all parameters. You have to be a little bit careful because you can't go back. If you reset the parameters, basically the Metasound and the widget are closed and the Metasound is loaded again. So all your settings are lost. Just use this if you really want to start completely new. But the audio that you loaded in, this is also put in the new Metasound, so the audio stays where it was in the, or where it is when you reset the parameters. Only all the settings here are getting set back to default. You can also change the name of the audio recordings. You can just put in the file name here. The basic name is MMMM _ and then a number. And here, that's basically it. You also have a preset manager. I made some fun presets. Probably gonna try all these out in another video, going through this for 1 or 2 tracks in the next video I'm gonna make. And yeah, you can load the effects, can delete load presets, delete presets, save presets, and put in names for new presets and so on. Very basic and self-explanatory, I would say. But for the different effect setting, first the crossover frequencies are self-explanatory. You can change the settings of the 8 bands, the frequencies. Yeah, there's some phase compensation and so on going on, but it's all the basic Metasound stuff. So switching the frequency bands already affects your sound. This is not a precision tool for mastering or anything like that. This is really for like messing up sounds, glitching up sounds. So you shouldn't expect that the sound stays the same when you change the frequency bands here or change any other settings. This is really like a creative effect. You use it to switch up sounds you made, to switch up whole tracks maybe, but not for precision work on in the context of mastering or anything like that. So I personally use it to like mess with single stamps I got, like beat stamps or vocals or anything like that, or switching up effect sounds to get some interesting variations or some completely different sounds and so on. So not a precision tool, it's a creative glitch box and a glitch toy box, you can say. It's for playing around with sound. Of course you can use whatever you do in any kind of track or any kind of audio context, like game development and so on, but you always have to keep in mind that it's a toy effect, like a creative glitch toy based effect. So don't expect too much of it. Use it for creative work, and always check the results that you do. Check which frequencies you got, what frequency contents you have after your work, and so on. Check it in your audio workstation. And yeah, let's start with the glitch tools, because of course, as I already said, the first effect is the Glitch-O-Lizer here. Let's switch it on. So how it works is basically, here you have an array and you set in the step size, but if random is on, it multiplies the step size with your random parameter here. If you switch it off, the repetitions are only based on the steps that you put into this array here. You can also just use four different steps. And yeah, here you can switch and change the BPM. I should probably switch it to the original BPM, so it makes a little bit more sense. Here you have some second line of repetitions that are overlaying the first line. And it's completely random which soundbite the repeater is taking. So this really completely messes with your arrangement, with your song structure. I use it mainly to switch up beats, but you can use it for all other stuff, of course. But it can be fun to play around with it, especially if you combine it a little bit with the other effects. But it's basically a very basic kind of repeater. The Glitch-O-Lizer is using delays. You can also have some sound similar to a beat repeater, but it's based on delays, and you can use the feedback parameters. The glitch type here affects mostly the waveform of some LFOs that work in the background. Often the time settings here throughout all effects have a very strong influence on the end result, or the speed settings in this context too. That's like the speed of LFOs and timing of delays and so on. And here with the bands you can determine which frequency content you want affected by this module. And you also have some randomization settings. It mostly works with some get float nodes in Metasounds that multiplies various settings with some random floats. The oscillizer is a bit crazy. Yeah, this really messes with your sound, but for some sounds can be very interesting. Discodizer is this bit crusher type thing. Switch everything else off so you can hear it. Here you have setting for sample rate, and of course it's very basic bit crusher, using the Metasound, the standard Metasound bit crusher. Then here you have filter with LFO. This is a bandpass filter. Of course, in combination with the bit crusher, you can get some interesting textures and so on. This is the bit crusher sound. This is the filtered bit crusher sound. And let's take this out again. Then another wave shaper here. And a noise oscillator that uses an envelope follower. So if you have very strong transients, you can hear the envelope following in action. If you have like a more constant sound, you don't hear it so much. This is mostly useful in lower settings, just to give a little bit of noise to some strong transients, for instance, if you're trying to glitch up beats. Then we have the trip-lizer, very similar to the dub-lizer here, just with some additional delay. As you can hear, can get pretty crazy sounds very fast with all the modules. If you combine them, it can go really crazy. In the second video on this, I'm gonna show you some more interesting, more fine-tuned stuff. I'm just changing some parameters now to show you what the different modules can do, but here in the presets I already saved some interesting, more fine-tuned stuff for different applications, different tasks. Then the granulizer works a little bit different. You don't have a mix parameter here. Instead you have dry and 3 wet volumes. So 3 different chains of grain delays. First grain delay, second grain delay, and a grain delay with additional diffusion. It's also delay based. Here you often want to use a high pass filter if you want to use it for some background glitching. It often makes sense to use a high pass filter. Same for the cyclizer. These two are not multiband, so this is the only setting that you can use to affect the frequency content that the modules are using. Yeah, we have some creative settings here, like pitch settings, pitch randomization, feedback, and the time settings here. If you fine tune these, you can get very different types of sounds. Some have some resonator type aspects to it. For some stuff it's interesting to use the randomization, for others you should switch it off completely, depending on what you want to do specifically. And if you take out the dry sound, you see it gets really crazy. Yeah, I like the granulizer, especially for some background glitches in combination with a high pass filter. But for some sounds it's also interesting to use the full frequency content. And here with the diffuser, you can hear the delays working in the background. Yeah, can get pretty crazy with this. Let's switch to the main effects. If you remember the signal flow, it goes through these first and then into the wave shaper. So this is just a basic wave shaper. Switch the compressor on a bit. And here's a multiband aspect, like you just determine which frequency content goes into the wave shaper. It's not that you have the multiple volumes, multiple modules for every band. Instead, you just determine the same for the glitch tools. You just determine what frequency content is used by these modules. At least for most of the modules. Here the multi-filter works a little bit different, and the compressor too. Here for the compressor, you really have like different kinds of compressors, 16 compressors working on left and right channel of every band. And here you have a main setting for ratio and mix, which is multiplied for every band with a specific band setting. And the parameters on the right side are used for all the 16 compressors. The multi-filter is a little bit more creative. Let's switch it on. It's basically working with 8 different filter modules based on these frequency splits here in the crossover section. And when you switch between the filters, all 8 bands use the bell, bandpass, notch, or all-pass filters. Here the bandwidth you can use for all these filters. The tilt setting just changes all the frequency split settings here at the same time. So basically the middle point of all the bell curves here for the 8 filters is tilted when you change it here. But to hear it for the bell type filter, you have to increase the bell curve points. Then you can hear it tilted. And basically how this is determined, how the frequencies are determined, is for the middle bands it uses the midpoints between the different splits. So for band 7 it uses the midpoint between split 7 and split 6. For band 2 it uses the midpoint between split 2 and split 1. And for the lowest band it uses just a multiplication with the lowest setting here a little bit further down. And the same for the 8 band, it uses this frequency with some multiplication, so it puts it a little bit higher. And when you tilt it, all the frequencies get multiplied a bit and therefore changed upwards or downwards. And yeah, here you also have some gain settings for the 8 bands, just to adjust it a little bit. And similar for the band settings, you can't use gains, but this and tilting too. I can show the tilting. You make it smaller and then you can tilt it, so you have a stronger effect. Notch is the same, you can use the bandwidth and the tilt, but not the gain, and the same for all pass. yeah, here, so basically here you can change the sound a bit, or you can, of course, if you record something, you can tilt it manually or change it manually just to change the basic texture or tone of the sound. But you also have some cross modulation settings here. You have two LFOs interacting with each other, so you can set it to bandpass. So if both LFOs are off, it stays constant, only affected by the tilt. And if you switch it all the way up, you get a soft LFO modulation here. You can make it faster or slower, of course. And you can switch in the second. And you can hear that the modulation of the first LFO is affected by the second LFO. You often don't want to put this all the way up, it gets a little bit too strong. Yeah, but you can do some pretty interesting stuff with this. Basic cross modulation of all the 8 filters. So basically this works like the tilt parameter, just with a LFO coupled to it. So you can imagine it's just this parameter affected by 2 LFOs that also affect each other. So the second LFO affects the first LFO, and the first LFO affects the tilt setting here. It's coded a little bit different, but that's basically what it's doing. And it's working for all the filter here. So you can get some comp filter type stuff with it, or some like phaser, flanger type stuff. Yeah, it's pretty interesting to give some modulation to the sound. Next, the flanger is really very basic, just flanger modules. And you can set in what frequency content goes into the flanger. You can change the rate. Yeah, the effect is not extremely strong, but I think you can hear just some additional modulation. And the delay, of course, just a simple delay. Nothing special about this at all. Just if you want some additional delay and the sound. Of course, have some feedback. Stereo spread, and here the basic timing. And the reverb, a little bit more interesting, because as I said in the beginning, it's based on serial delays. I made it like 2 years ago when there was no reverb at all in Metasounds. As I think I already mentioned that starting with Unreal Engine 5.5, you will have a nice reverb in Metasounds. The sound will probably be much better than this one. This is very metallic, based on the serial delays. But it's very interesting, especially in the context of this glitch type plugin. I really like to put it in some sounds, some effects, and the feedback can go really crazy. You can filter the feedback a little bit. resonant. And also for the reverb tail you can use some additional effects here. And also make it very interesting. And a flanger. All pass. Of course combine it with a normal flanger and with a multi-filter. And get some, yeah, you can get some pretty strong modulation. And of course it's also one of the multiband modules, so you can determine what frequency content goes into the reverb. Here you don't hear the lower bands very good because the feedback filter was on. Oh, this is a little bit too much. Yeah, as I said, it's not the best quality reverb. You probably have like 1,000 times better reverb plugins in your audio workstation, but in addition to the glitch modules in this, it often makes sense to use a little bit reverb. I often like to use it with like lower space settings, but high feedback if I want to make some more resonant metallic sounds. And that's basically it for the standard modules, effect modules. Back to the glitch settings here. Last but not least, we have the Psycholizer, which is also pretty crazy. Mostly based on delays. You can pitch up and down here for the Granulizer on the top. This affects just the pitch, how the pitch is basically, yeah, how the sound is pitched. For some sounds you want it all the way down, for others all the way up. Or in the middle, you have to check it out. Just how much delay is used for the pitching. Some stereo spread. Let's have and of course the different time settings affecting various LFOs and delay settings. And here and here's some panning with an LFO. Here's a basic LFO, and here the panning LFO. This LFO affects some of the time settings. And you can hear this pans some sounds to the left and others to the right, and this switches between both. So you have like a sine curve affecting the panning for left, yeah, for left and right basically. Or both panning lines, so to say. Here just the frequency of the panning LFO. You hear the most pronounced differences you can get with the time settings here. Yeah, sometimes the effect of some time settings are not that pronounced when other time settings are all the way up or down. So this Of course, it's a little bit cryptic here what timing this specifically affects, but you can just play around with it and you can hear what you like or don't like. As you can hear, it's pretty crazy. I can get some really crazy sounds with it, and yeah, I think it's probably best used for glitching up things. For instance, if you're maybe working on some glitch-heavy music, such as like braindance, IDM type stuff, can be interesting to use this, but also for basic sound effects. If you're working in game development, want some crazy sound effects, you can play around with it. And yeah, that's basically it. Another thing I should mention is for remixes, it can be very nice if you just load in like some vocals you want to glitch up, or some lead or bass lines, kind of very interesting effects. Yeah, in the next video I'm gonna show you some of these presets here. I put in some time while I was working on it, always saving interesting settings when I had something I liked. I was like switching up some stems, some tracks, working with sound effects and so on. And yeah, that's it for the sound mangling. I said in the beginning I'm going to talk a little bit about these extra visual parameters. It's just for playing around. You can switch up the spectrum if it stresses you out. You can switch in some different spectrum visualizations. You can make the visuals a bit blurry. You can make the background color transparent if you want to see more of it. Of course, you can also combine it. And here's also the exploder type effect. Yeah, you can switch this glitch effect off. I only see it here in the glitch module. Normally I have this little glitch material on it, but you can switch it off if it stresses you out. Yeah, you can also show my nice little Metasound logo if you like it. If you click on it multiple times, the MMMM logo in 2 variations. And of course you can switch these effects off. And another thing you can do is you can hide the interface, and then, oh no, you're getting attacked by MMMM glitches. You can yeah, make this little game. You can play this little game I made. And maybe the most interesting thing about this is if you get hit a few times. I made it a little bit more, a little bit easier because my son was playing with it and didn't come very far because these glitch spaceships were way too fast. But now, right now I see now they are very, very slow. But I think the more you hit, the faster they get, if I remember the coding correctly. Or the more points you get, the faster they get. Sometimes they fly to you, but they don't hit you. But this one should... No, it's not hitting me. Oh no, it hit me. Yeah, and here on the left side you can see the score. And if you get into higher territories, like upwards of 10,000, the game can get much faster. And if you show the interface again, you get hit, but only by by the spaceships that were still flying. They stopped flying, but if you hide it again, now it's a little bit harder. The timing is a little bit higher now. Speed is higher for these new glitches. And let's get hit a little bit. Now you hear it getting louder and more distorted. And the energy is lost. Yeah, now it switches back. And as you can see here, when you switch back, it slowly adjusts to your original settings that we'll be using. So this is just for playing around a little bit. If you're like getting bored by working on whatever you're working on in this application, you can hide the interface and play a little bit around, and maybe get some new inspiration. So that's basically it. Thanks for listening, and if you want to test it out, it's like in a semi-open beta test phase right now. A few people are playing around with it, but I didn't put it in open beta because there are probably lots of bugs in there hidden somewhere, and also it's a little bit the settings probably should be fine-tuned a little bit more. But if you're interested to beta test it, just write me a message on one of the social media platforms I'm active on, or like KBR forums or IDM forums, or comment on the YouTube channel, and we can get in contact with each other, and I can invite you to my Discord group, where you can download a beta version of this. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening and watching, and see you next time.